G'day everyone, great to have you back on Strike Me Pink, the podcast that is dedicated to South Australian sport and of course in honour of our patron saint Ken Cunningham and his famous catch cry, Strike Me Pink. We are short on time but big on opinions. I'm with the number one sports presenter in South Australia, Tom Wren. Rennie, g'day, you've had a busy day by the looks of things, mate.
Yeah, it's been a bit going on, just running around and getting ready for the weekend. I love Thursday night footy, Hooky, so looking forward to that tonight. We're going to talk about that a little bit and plenty of other stuff that's been happening this week. It's been huge, particularly in the cricket world.
I haven't worked in a newsroom for a long time. Are Thursdays traditionally pretty crazy for you?
Yeah, they're busy, usually because it's, teams night. So Crows and Port will bring out their teams. And now with the Thursday night game as well. I love it though. It sort of feels like an early start to the weekend. I know a lot of people don't love it, Thursday night. I think if your team plays, it's maybe not as good because if your team loses, then the whole weekend's kind of ruined and it's over. But I love it. I love the fact there's a game tonight between the Cats and Collingwood. Gives us something to look forward to and then something to talk about tomorrow. So a little bit busier because of that and just with the comm games and a few other bits and pieces.
Yes.
Are we loving the comm games? I actually think they've been better for me, Hooky, so far than what I anticipated. So I haven't minded them.
We might get to them a little bit later on, but I might have a little bit of a difference of opinion. Just on Thursday night footy, and it is on tonight. It was in Adelaide last week. I have to be honest, Rehnny, and I know that for you, you are in a situation where you work in sport, your whole day revolves around it. It's sort of easy for you to manage. But I was emceeing a function for the Crows on Thursday night that was due to start at 6 o'clock. And at 6:15, when I pretty much had our first guest, Darcy Fogarty, in the room was only half full because people can't get into the ground. It is so hard to get into the city when everyone else is trying to get out. It is just gridlocked everywhere. And I don't know what the solution is because I understand the television coverage back into Melbourne doesn't want to start sort of after 8 o'clock, but it is a real challenge for 50,000 people to get into Adelaide Oval on a Thursday night at a time where you can do all of the things you need to do in a pre-match before it's due to start. So it's one of those ongoing challenges. I don't know if I think the merit for the fan in turning up on a Thursday night is quite where we think it is.
Hard for the country fan in particular. It's funny you say that. I remember now, I read the 4 o'clock news. I had to do the whole hour. So I read the news, the sport and the weather. Finished at 5 o'clock. I reckon I was in the car by 5:04. Now I'm at Channel 9, so we're the corner of Pirie and Pulteney. And Melbourne said to me, could you do a little tease for us, which is this 6:15 their time, 5:45. I said, yeah, no problem. So I left at 5:05, so I'm 2 Ks away. I didn't get to my spot at the bottom of the bridge until 5:57, I reckon. So I only just made it for the top of our news. Now, I didn't have a cross right off the top, but it took, that's the slowest. It was gridlock. It was horrific. Now, a couple of factors, probably Collingwood, so more excitement, greater anticipation Thursday night. But yeah, Hooky, that's an issue. I like Thursday night footy, but it was a massive problem getting around. I would have been quicker walking backwards to get to the ground than what I did.
Let's just touch on the two AFL teams very quickly.
Yes.
Adelaide take on Essendon. You would expect that Adelaide bounces back really hard against a side that's just looking for the finish line.
Yeah, and I don't know if we're going to learn that much, Hooky, but they need to win. They have to win now to finish top 6 and to keep this slight hope of top 4. That was so disappointing last week to be 27 points up. I mean, it's been spoken about. They probably should have been 7 or 8 goals up, and you have to tip your hat to Craig McRae. I remember he had Jeremy Howe threw him forward. He kicks a goal, and then at halftime, everyone in the stadium's thinking, how the hell are Collingwood only 8 points down? And then they win. So this week, they've got to bounce back, got to beat Richmond the week after. That way, they're locked into top 6, but they need favours now to make top 4. It just means once they get to that finals week, Hooky, we've spoken about it, so much pressure on them in that first elimination final.
We're going to talk more about the Crows a little bit later on in the show because I've got a new segment called The Receipt where I'm going to take probably the worst possible take you and I could have came up with from last week and relive it the following week. And I suspect that might be, for the Crows, might be a feature of The Receipt this week. Port Adelaide take on GWS, and there is no greater Jekyll and Hyde club in the AFL, maybe in history, than GWS, who can beat Fremantle and lose to Essendon. Port Adelaide would have to give themselves a real shot here, and I understand where they're at, but you would like to think that they'll go out and try and chase a victory here.
I think they will. I wonder, is it in their interest to win? They've got a dozen players out. I'm staggered that they're favourites because of if GWS bring anywhere near their best, they should pump them. You nailed it. They are so Jekyll and Hyde. I don't know what to make of the Giants. Their best against Brisbane was phenomenal. Against Fremantle was scintillating. And then their worst, they go down to the Bombers, who would struggle to beat half the sample sides, I think, at the moment. I just don't know what to make of them, but I think GWS should win. And if I'm a Port fan, this might sound, they'll hate me for saying this. I think you want to lose this week. We've seen how good Dougie Cochrane's going to be and all the buzz this week. I think finishing bottom four, they don't want to go past Gold Coast. They want to stay in the bottom four. So I think another honourable loss like they've had the last 2 weeks is a good thing. But it's going to be harder to do that because once you get Jason Horne-Francis out there, he wants to win. He's a winner. And I love that. And that's the way he plays. But I don't know if that's a great thing for the Power long term.
Now, interesting. I mean, Jason Horne-Francis will be a watch. Everyone knows that Zach Butters is almost certainly on his way out of Port Adelaide at the end of the year. But all talk that Jason Horne-Francis might be someone who'd be keen to reunite with Ken Hinkley. So, look, it's absolute speculation and no one really knows how that's going to play out. But certainly they're going to become armed with the cash and the opportunity to become the signature player of a new football club. So I'd happily keep an eye on that.
Yeah, it's got to be really intriguing. And I've liked Jason Horne-Francis this season. I thought last week, they were totally outclassed with talent, but to hang in the way they did, and you could see him just trying to carry this team on his back. I love the way he goes about it. He's such an animal, a competitor. He's everything you want at a footy club. So from that perspective, you do want Port to compete, and he will. But they've got, I think I said Logan Evans is the new one out for the season now. And this is what happens when teams are gone. They say, out you go and get the surgery that would otherwise put off. So they're going to find it difficult to compete. But Jason Horne-Francis, while he's there and playing the way he is, they're every chance.
Tom, I'm bringing a new concept into this part of the show. It is called the Stock Exchange. We're going to treat South Australian sport, or sport in general, like the stock market, the stock exchange. So you have shares in anyone that you would like, and I want you to start to list for me who you're going to buy because you reckon they're on the rise, who you're going to hold because they might be struggling but you reckon they're worth persevering with, and who you're going to sell because you reckon they've reached their peak. Let's start with who you would like to buy more of if you could get hold of the share at the right price on the AFL Stock Exchange.
I like this, Hooky. Good stuff. I'll tell you who I'm going to buy, then I'll ask you the same. I'm going to buy the Cats. Yeah. I think right now, Craig McRae and Chris Scott, they might be the two best coaches right now. I thought McRae won that game with just some of his coaching last week. That said, I don't think Collingwood I think they've got the best player in the comp right now, Nick Dacos, but I don't think they're that great. And Brandon Maynard out. I think the Cats are just starting to come good. I know Dangerfield's out, but I think Chris Scott's got this ability to get them peaking. I'd like to buy Geelong because I think they'll win tonight. I think they'll do it reasonably comfortably, and I think they'll start to make a big charge towards September. Who
Don't mind that. I was just on Geelong. I saw Lee Montagna say he can make an argument that Geelong are the number 2 team in the competition right now. And what do they sit in 8th or 9th? I think they're actually 9th. So big chance, I reckon, to make that top 6 at the expense of either Adelaide or Melbourne. I'm going to buy some Josh Rochelle right now because he was pretty poor against Collingwood last week. I don't want to call him a flat track bully, but I reckon he's the sort of guy who was going to fill his boots against Essendon and Richmond. Both of those clubs struggle with their defensive strength, and I just reckon Josh Rochelle, who dipped in the share price last week, I reckon I'm going to buy him right now because I reckon he's going to kick, I don't know, maybe 6-7 goals in the next couple of weeks and the share price will start to rise again and I might sell him again in a fortnight. Who would you like to sell right now?
I'm going to sell, this might be a bit controversial, but I want to sell Sydney. I don't think they're going that great, Hooky, and St Kilda, I think, are a tough matchup. They should have beaten them 6 weeks ago in Sydney. I still don't know how they lost that game. They've got a very good record at Marvel Stadium against the Swans in the past 2 or 3 years. And I'm not sure Sydney are flying as much as what perhaps some people are thinking they are. So I'm going to sell Sydney. I still think they're a good side, but I reckon their share price is a bit higher than what it should be. So I'm going to sell the Swans.
They're fair enough. I don't mind that. I do think their form is a little bit mixed as well. I'm going to sell some Lockie McAndrew right now. I think he's been excellent for Adelaide in the ruck, but gee, looked tired last week. Cameron got the better of him comfortably. I reckon he's looking for a break. Now, we're 2 hours away from knowing what the AFL teams are going to be, and it wouldn't shock me if he's left out this week against Essendon, where you reckon Adelaide can cope without their number one ruckman. But Lockie McAndrew either needs a break or he's really starting to flag at this time of the year. So I'm happy to get out on the share price that he's got right now. He's earned a lot of credit points, but time to sell him up, I reckon. Who are you going to hang on to, regardless of the way they're struggling at the moment?
I'll hold Christian Petrarca. He's had a tough week.
Good one.
Yeah, he's had a really tough week with the Leo Lombard stuff. I'm interested to see how he responds. He's had a pretty good year. I think he's averaging 25 touches. He's kicked 22 goals, but the team's been woeful. I mean, I think they're probably the most disappointing side. I don't know what you think, but I think probably most people would say Gold Coast, they expected top 4, maybe challenging for a flag, and they're bottom 4 or bottom 5 at the moment. They're 1 win ahead of Port. And I think a lot of people are saying he's the guy. Look at how Melbourne went last year. Petrarca leaves, Melbourne go up, he goes to Gold Coast and Gold Coast. So rightly or wrongly, he's copping it. Yep. I'm holding him, but I'm fascinated to see how a senior player with a bit of scrutiny on him against his old side, Melbourne, this week, how he goes. I'm going to hold him, but I'm going to be watching very closely.
Good hold, Tom. I'm going to hang on to the Crows despite the disappointment of last week. I reckon they win 3 of the next 4. I think they beat GWS, they beat Richmond, they beat Essendon. They'll get into the finals in a top 6 spot. They'll probably lose to Fremantle over there, but so is everyone else. So I reckon they'll get to the finals in pretty reasonable shape. I might be thinking about cashing out right about then. However, I'm going to hang on to the Crows right now. You okay with the Crows?
Yeah. Gee, that was so flat last week. It was. I'm so bitterly disappointed. After the week before, it was their best win of the season, but then the one on the weekend was almost the most disappointing. And credit again, I think, to McRae and Collingwood. They were brilliant, and with everything that was happening as well, around Quaynor and all the fuel there, superb. But gee, the Crows have got a bit of ground to make up for me in the next couple of weeks, and particularly that Fremantle game after letting a golden opportunity slip, I thought.
We move into what we call the 3-word verdict, Tom. I'm going to give you a topic and you have to decide what you think about it. You've only got 3 words.
3 words.
Setting a tall bar for you, mate, but let's see how we go. Let's start with one that I reckon is pretty straightforward for you. Ken Hinkley.
The right man. I think he's a great fit for Tassie. But if I had to give you a 3-word headline, the right man, great appointment by Tassie. I love it. He's passionate. He'll be a father-type figure. We saw it with Sheedy. We saw it with John Cale at Port Adelaide. I think he'll be a great fit for them. He'll sell the club. He'll be the face of it. I think he's good.
You started this so well, and then you went on to about 50 words. I only need 3.
I'm going to stick with 3.
Only need 3. It's perfect, though. I had no better option. Nathan Buckley.
Will coach again.
Oh, I had never again senior. So
wow.
There you are. We probably
totally
disagree
different
there. Murray Davis. So Murray Davis, for those who aren't quite sure, is a senior assistant at the Adelaide Football Club.
Still underrated.
Good. Okay, like it. I've got a catastrophic loss. If he was to go, I think that would be disaster for the Crows.
I like that,
so
yeah.
He is definitely in the running for both Essendon and Carlton right now.
Yeah.
AFL umpiring.
Can I go one word?
Yep.
Frustrating.
Needs a rethink, in my opinion. State of origin.
Reserve my judgment.
Really good, Tom. I've got as yet unconvinced.
Yeah.
Isaac Quaynor.
Showed enormous maturity.
Well done. I said Crow's black eye.
Yeah.
Commonwealth Games.
Better than expected.
I've sort of got 4 here, but I've gone Dan Andrews was right. I'm happy to see the back of it, quite frankly. I don't know. We can talk about it maybe some other time.
Let's do that.
Yeah.
You know what? Just quickly on it. Swimming, too many medals. Too many medals.
Yeah. It's and, we're the only country in the world that takes it seriously. We televise our national trials, for goodness sake.
Exactly.
A topic for another time.
Yeah.
Netball dresses.
Catastrophic. Nita Taylor.
Nita Taylor. That's good. I've got a content bonanza. I mean, I don't know if it was deliberate or accidental, but someone has walked into. There's a marketing ploy to be had here. Someone will make a lot of money out of this. Live Golf.
Sadly, in trouble.
I've said still a pulse. That might be all there is, but there are some signs that maybe they are going to come out with some pretty reasonable funding options next year. The last one, SANFL reserves.
Also in trouble.
Yeah, I said won't be missed, quite frankly. And I know that there's some people in Clubland that probably will disagree with me, but if we saw the back end of SANFL reserves, I think we'd all get over it in a year or two.
Totally.
Tommy, that's a wonderful segment. We're going to stick with that. We're moving on to a new one that I'm introducing. It's called the Barometer. I'm going to give you 5 people that are involved in sport, and you're going to tell me what level of pressure they're under on a scale of 1 to 5. 1, very little pressure. 5, absolutely heaps of pressure. Let's start with a pretty simple one we know and love. Matthew Nix.
4.
4 out of 5, fair enough. Adam Uze.
3.
I think he might be a bit higher than that. Damien Hardwick.
Yeah, 3.5.
Good. Okay. Andrew Dillon.
Good one. 3.
All right. And Live Golf CEO Scott O'Neill.
I don't think there's much he can do. It's probably 3.5.
I might have 7 for Scott O'Neill. Poor bloke's got the weight of the world on his shoulders. Really good, Tom. Love it. I had a topic here called the receipt. So I went back through last week's show and I took out what I thought might be the most outrageous take from either of us. And I thought we might just revisit it for 30 seconds. So last week, we both agreed that Adelaide was probably going to beat Collingwood at Adelaide Oval pretty comfortably and start to threaten for a flag. Looks pretty ridiculous right now when you relive it. Were we fair at the time, or do you think in hindsight maybe we do what all Adelaide people do and get a little bit overworked with the Crows when they're in a bit of form?
No, I don't think we were, because I think that win against Sydney was so impressive. No, they were 8-0 the Swans at the SCG this season, and the Crows beat them and beat them really convincingly, I thought. And I think we all believed that this was the maturity and the sign that they were ready to attack September. So, yeah, we got it wrong. But for a quarter and a half, they dominated that game. And if anything, Hooky, they should have put it to bed. And that's the frustration with Matty Nix, I think, is that a defensive-minded coach sometimes goes too defensive too quickly and doesn't change enough or, kill a game off. So I don't think we oversold them the week before. I don't know. Do you feel differently?
No, I just feel like I don't feel like I do feel like they are further away from the flag this year than perhaps they've ever been. And that even goes back to sort of around 6, 7, 8 when people sort of thought they were a bit one-paced, a bit of a plodding team, maybe no better than midfield. I just feel like every time they have a really important matchup in a game that you'd like to think that they would win, but there is so much high stakes. And I put an asterisk alongside of this because I know they beat Sydney in Sydney the week before, but there is just that part of me that thinks every time the stakes are high, Adelaide seem to fall short. And I'm just concerned that that's becoming a bit too much of a habit. Hooky's Local Sport Minute.
Yes, love this.
So I want to tell you a story about a bloke who had a hole-in-one at Tea Tree Gully. And it's not you, would you believe?
Good.
There's a guy called Jonathan Creasy. He's a pretty good golfer. He had his second hole-in-one at Tea Tree Gully in 3 months. So he had a hole-in-one in April. He's had one again last weekend. Now, Jonathan Creasy is a name that may ring a bell to you. Not only is a very good golfer, he's played some pennant up there, plays off scratch or maybe a little bit better. But before he was a golfer of note, he was an AFL boundary umpire of real note.
Yes.
Over 307, I think he did 307 AFL games, 4 grand finals, 29 finals overall. So, Tom, you know those people in your life, and you're one of them, quite frankly, who are just really good at everything. I feel like Jonathan Creasy is one of those blokes. Imagine being the sort of athlete that can be a boundary umpire at AFL level, for over 300 games, and then he just decides to, let me get into golf a bit more seriously, and he's a scratch player, winning pennant matches and having hole-in-ones every 3 months. Sort of kind of bloke that jams me up a little.
Oh, me too. And Hooky, you're far more an all-rounder than me, but he is a really good guy, Creasy, and loves his AFL, goes and he's very passionate about umpiring and boundary umpiring, and hell of a golfer too, works hard at his game and just a ripper fella too. So I love it, and he's got a lot more hole-in-ones than me, which makes me really angry. That's
the secret, is it? Working hard on your game. Oh, why didn't I give that some thought?
Who would have thought?
I want to wrap this up, Tommy, with the Monday headline. I want you to have a think about what is we're going to open the advertiser on Monday, and what will be the big headline.
I'm going to go with Richmond against West Coast on the Sunday.
Yeah.
They're not getting judged that harshly at the moment because they're losing to good sides, but West Coast is a team they should consider beating, but I think the Eagles win. So I'm going to say Adam Ooze, like as in
Oozing.
oozing off. So I think Ooze could be in real trouble come Monday.
Nice work. I'm going to go with Beg your pardon. I'm going to go with Clarko's Cluster F ****, because I reckon Hawthorn are going to blow them away by in excess of 100 points, and I wonder if that might be the beginning of the end
He could be in trouble.
Alistair Clarkson at North Melbourne, which would be hard to believe because he was going to be the saviour of that club. And I think we'll find by the end of this weekend that maybe that whole relationship is going to start to wobble. Hey, always a great chat. We have got that inside 20 minutes, only just. You get back to all of you got to do at Channel 9. We'll do it all again next week.
Can't wait, Hooky. You're a good man.
See you, mate.